You know that feeling when you swear you're done, you're not calling, not texting, not checking their socials, and then 2 days later, your brain feels like it's on fire? That itch to reach out, that magnetic pull to fix what's broken? Yeah, that's the loop. The loop is what keeps you stuck between knowing better and doing the same thing again. It's not weakness, it's wiring. It's your nervous system replaying a story it learned long before this person even entered your life. You tell yourself you're fine, you tell your friends you're moving on, but at night, in the quiet, you still replay the conversations, the fights, the silences. You keep wondering what they're thinking, whether they've changed, whether they miss you. That wondering is the loop, and it doesn't let go until you finally see it for what it is. See, here's the truth. You're not addicted to them. You're addicted to the pattern. The pattern of closeness, distance, confusion, relief. The chase, the calm, the crash, the comeback. It's a cycle your body believes is love because it's what your body recognizes as love. But it's not love. It's familiarity. And familiarity is the most powerful drug on the planet. So let's call it out right now. The avoidant loop isn't about one person. It's about the dance between two nervous systems that don't feel safe. One runs from intimacy to feel in control. The other chases connection to feel secure. And together, they spin in circles, both terrified of being abandoned, both desperate not to lose themselves. That's why no contact feels so hard. It's not the silence that hurts, it's the loss of pattern. Your mind is detoxing from chaos, and chaos was how you felt alive. That's why you keep checking your phone. That's why your thoughts don't stop. The loop is fighting for survival, and it will tell you anything they're thinking about you. Maybe you should check. Maybe they changed. But here's the wake-up call. You don't break the loop by winning them back. You break the loop by coming back to yourself. Because this pattern doesn't end when they text you. It ends when your peace no longer depends on their response. It ends when silence no longer feels like punishment, it feels like power. And I know that's easier said than done. You've built your identity around trying to make it work. You believed if you just loved harder, waited longer, stayed calmer, they'd finally meet you halfway. But you can't outlove someone's fear. You can only outgrow your own. That's what this whole journey is about. You breaking the loop doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop abandoning yourself to prove you're worthy of being chosen. When you understand this, truly understand it, you stop asking, when will they come back? And start asking, why do I keep leaving myself to chase what hurts me? That's where freedom begins. That's where real love, secure love becomes possible. Because once you see the loop, you can step out of it. You can stop reacting, stop explaining, stop performing for someone who was never ready to receive the depth of what you were offering. You can take that energy, all that care, all that loyalty, all that hope, and finally turn it toward the one person who's been waiting for you all along, you. And that's what we're doing today. We're not just talking about the avoidant pattern. We're going to dismantle it step by step, conversation by conversation, so you can finally build a connection that feels like peace, not panic. Because the loop doesn't end when they change. It ends when you do. Silence isn't what you think it is. It's not absence. It's not indifference. It's not game playing or manipulation. It's a moment of truth, a mirror. And for the first time, you're seeing exactly what you've been running from all along, yourself. We've been taught that silence is punishment. We've been trained to think that when someone goes quiet, it's because they don't care. But what if I told you the opposite is true? What if silence is the moment when everything that's been bubbling underneath finally surfaces? Let's get real. When you stop reaching out, when you let that silence settle between you and them, it forces both of you to confront what's really going on. And for the avoidant, this is terrifying because in silence, they face their greatest fear, connection. You see, for the avoidant, intimacy isn't just something to avoid. It's a threat. It's not about you. It's about them. And the moment they feel your pull away, they're flooded with panic. Panic because connection feels like a trap. Panic because vulnerability feels like weakness. And so they withdraw, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to handle care. Here's the truth. Their silence isn't indifference. It's a desperate attempt at controlling their emotions. But here's the catch. The more they withdraw, the more they're pulled back to you. The longer they sit in that silence, the more they start to miss what they ran from in the first place. They start to feel the absence you've created. They start to feel the emptiness of their own avoidance. You want to know something? You don't have to do anything for this process to unfold, because silence, true, honest, emotional silence, does the work for you. It gives both of you space to breathe, but more importantly, it gives both of you space to feel. Think about it. You're sitting in that silence, not texting, not chasing, and what happens? You start to feel the pain. You start to face the truth of your own needs. That longing you've been pushing down starts to rise up. But guess what? That's progress. Because until you feel it, you can't heal it. And the same thing is happening for them. Their silence is a defense mechanism. It's a shield they've been holding up for years. But silence doesn't heal wounds. It only hides them. And eventually, those wounds start talking louder than their avoidance. So let's stop pretending. Silence isn't some passive strategy. It's a call to action. It's an opportunity for both of you to step outside of the loop and say, what am I running from? Because in the silence, you stop chasing their approval, their validation, their answers, and you start chasing something much more important yourself. Now, I'm not saying silence is easy. It feels unnatural. It feels like you're betraying your own needs, doesn't it? Like you're letting go of something you thought was worth holding on to. But in reality, you're finally holding on to the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. Let's be clear. You don't break the loop by trying harder. You break the loop by letting go. So the next time you find yourself sitting in that silence, don't panic. Don't second guess yourself. Let it work for you. Let it bring the clarity you've been craving. And understand this. In the silence, both of you will finally have the space to do something real, not react to each other, but respond to your own needs. And that's where true healing begins. Because silence doesn't mean absence. It means awareness. And that awareness, my friend, is what will change everything. Here's where the real shift happens. I know you're tired. Tired of feeling like you're the only one showing up. Tired of wondering why they can't just meet you halfway. I hear you, and it's exhausting. You keep putting yourself out there. You keep reaching. You keep chasing, but it's not getting you anywhere, is it? You know what? It's time to stop. Because chasing never works. Chasing tells them, I'll show up even if you don't. Chasing tells them, I'll settle for crumbs as long as you're still here. And I hate to say it, but that's exactly how you end up in the loop. Because every time you chase, you're teaching them that distance means safety. You're teaching them that they can push you away and you'll still come back. You're reinforcing their biggest fear. Intimacy equals losing control. But here's the thing. You are not the problem. You don't need to chase them to prove you're worth their time. You need to set a boundary that says, I am valuable. I deserve clarity, consistency, and respect. And if that's not what you're offering, then I'm stepping back. Boundaries aren't about punishment. Boundaries aren't about control. Boundaries are about self-respect. And when you set a boundary, you show them, and more importantly, you show yourself that you're no longer willing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. But here's where it gets tricky. Because for you, for anyone who's been in the cycle, setting a boundary can feel like you're walking away from love. You're not. You're walking toward yourself. Now, let's break this down. When I say don't chase, I'm not saying cut them off or shut them out completely. I'm saying stop abandoning yourself for their emotional games. Stop shrinking back when they pull away. Stop chasing the empty promise that they'll finally choose you, because that's not what they need. And honestly, it's not what you need either. I'm going to teach you the boundary script. This is the line that will change everything. Write this down. Say it to yourself. Say it to them when the moment is right. I'm here when you're ready to meet me halfway. That's it. That's the boundary. No chasing, no begging, just a quiet, steady statement of self-respect. And do you know what happens when you set that boundary? You stop waiting for them to choose you, and you start choosing yourself. You stop needing them to prove you're worth it, and you start proving to yourself that you are. This is where the magic happens, because the moment you stop chasing, something shifts in them. Their need for control starts to slip. Their fear of intimacy begins to crack. The moment you step back, they start to feel that emotional gravity pulling them toward you. And you want to know what happens next? They'll either rise to meet you or they won't. But here's the thing. You're no longer dependent on them for your worth. You're already whole. You're already complete. You're not waiting for their approval. You're waiting for them to step into your reality on your terms. Now, here's the catch. This takes courage. It takes courage to step back when every part of your body is telling you to step forward. It takes courage to stop reacting to their emotional distance. It takes courage to trust that when you stop chasing, you are not giving up. You are giving space for both of you to breathe, to reflect, to heal. And when you give space, you show them that love doesn't require you to lose yourself. You show them that you can be close without losing your identity. And that, my friend, is what they actually need. The truth is, love isn't about chasing someone until they finally get it. Love is about creating the safety to show up, and that starts with you showing up for yourself first. So set that boundary, speak that truth. Let them know you're not chasing anymore. You're simply choosing yourself. And when they're ready to meet you halfway, you'll be right here. Let's get uncomfortable for a second. Do you know why you react the way you do? Do you really understand why every time they pull away, your body tenses up, your thoughts spiral, and you feel that urge to text, to reach out, to fix it? Here's the thing. You're not just reacting to them. You're reacting to your triggers. What you're really feeling is an old, deep fear inside of you, a fear that comes from your past, a fear that says, if I don't act, I'll lose them forever. If I don't do something, I'm not lovable. I'm not enough. You've been here before. You've felt this before. And it's that fear, that belief that you're not enough that makes you react. Every time they withdraw, you feel abandoned, and that old wound gets triggered. But you know what? That's not their fault. That's not even the real issue. The issue is the fear inside of you and how it controls your actions. So what if I told you the real power lies in recognizing this? What if I told you the key to breaking the loop is not waiting for them to change, but understanding your own triggers and emotional reactions? I know this sounds hard. I know you've told yourself, but this time, they're different. They won't pull away like they did before. But deep down, you know the truth. It's not about them. It's about you and how you've learned to react to emotional withdrawal, to silence, to fear. Here's the secret. You can't control their behavior, but you can control your response. And that's where the freedom is. The next time they pull away, you don't need to chase them. You need to pause and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Let me tell you something important. It's not just about feeling rejected or unloved. That's just the surface. What you're really feeling is a deeper, more primal fear that goes something like this. If I don't act, I'll lose myself. I'll disappear. I won't matter. I'll be invisible. But here's the thing. You are visible. You do matter. And the truth is, if you keep reacting like this, you'll continue to lose your sense of self, not because of them, but because you're letting fear lead the way. It's time to take the reins of that fear. It's time to understand why it's there, what it's trying to protect, and how you can respond, not react. When you feel triggered, the first thing you need to do is pause. Just stop for a moment. You don't need to reply immediately. You don't need to make a decision in the heat of the moment. Pause. Take a breath. And when you do, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of right now? What is the root of this fear? Where have I felt this before? When you pause and give yourself the space to feel, you'll realize that the urgency to reach out isn't about them. It's about you feeling like you need to fix something that's already fine. You don't need to chase. You need to own your own emotions. Now, here's how you break that cycle. You respond, not react. You respond by choosing to stay calm. You respond by choosing to validate yourself before reaching out to them. The moment you stop reacting and instead take that pause, you become the one in control. Not of them, but of yourself. You'll find that when you own your triggers, when you recognize the fear, and when you choose to respond with clarity instead of emotional chaos, something changes. You stop chasing. You stop losing yourself in the fear. And instead, you start gaining back the most important thing you've lost, your peace. In the beginning, this is hard. It feels like you're abandoning them. It feels like you're giving up, but you're not giving up on them. You're giving up on the cycle that has kept you stuck. You're choosing yourself. You're saying, I deserve peace. I deserve to feel secure, whether they're near or far. And when you do that, when you stand in that self-awareness, something powerful happens. You stop being controlled by your fears. You stop being a slave to your emotional reactions. You begin to create space for them and for yourself. So let me ask you, can you pause the next time you're triggered? Can you take a breath and ask yourself, what is this fear trying to tell me? Because the moment you do that, you break free from the pattern that has kept you chasing and step into the power of choosing who you are, regardless of what anyone else is doing. This is the path to freedom. And this right here is where it starts with you and how you respond to your own fear. We've all been there. The argument, the silence, the misunderstanding that turns into a wall between you and the person you care about. And in that moment, everything in you wants to fix it fast. You want to apologize, explain yourself, and make it right. You feel like if you don't do something right now, it's all going to fall apart. But I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. The best way to fix conflict isn't to resolve it immediately. It's to allow it to sit, to let the tension breathe so you can both show up in a way that creates real connection. You see, conflict isn't the enemy. It's unresolved conflict that keeps you stuck in the loop. What happens in the loop? The same thing happens every time. You fight, they pull away, you chase, they get defensive, the cycle continues. Why? Because in the moment of conflict, you're both trying to win. You're both trying to prove that you're right, that your side matters more. But the truth is, it's not about winning. It's about understanding the goal isn't resolution, it's repair. Repair isn't about fixing them, fixing yourself, or fixing the argument. It's about fixing the connection that's been broken in the moment. And you can't do that by rushing in to fix it. You can't do that by forcing an apology or trying to explain your way out of feeling hurt. You can only repair by showing up differently than you have in the past. So let's reframe this. The next time conflict arises, don't jump into fixing. Don't race to explain yourself or to make them see your point of view. Instead, pause. Let the silence sit between you. Give the tension space to breathe. What's happening here? You're both learning a new way to engage with conflict. Instead of trying to be heard above the noise, you're going to focus on listening. You can repair the connection without fixing the fight. Here's what it looks like. You've had your say. You've made your point. Now it's time to show them the same respect by hearing theirs. But more than that, the most important part of this repair is that you stay calm, you stay grounded, because the truth is, when emotions are high, logic is low. And that's when the most damaging things are said. You've been there. You've said things you didn't mean, or you've held things back because you were afraid of saying the wrong thing. That's what happens when you don't pause. So now you're going to pause. You're going to stay present. And instead of reacting, you're going to respond. Here's what to say. I hear you. I understand why you're upset, and I'm here listening. No defensiveness, no excuses, just pure presence, just calm. And here's why this works. Because the more calm you stay, the more safe they feel. And when they feel safe, they start to open up, they start to lower their walls, and that's when the magic happens. You see, conflict doesn't have to destroy the connection. Conflict is an opportunity to deepen the understanding of each other's fears, needs, and vulnerabilities. But that only happens when you both know how to repair it, and that repair begins with you. You don't need to fix the problem. You need to fix the space between you. And here's what happens when you do. Instead of your walls growing higher, you'll both begin to build a bridge. Instead of feeling like you're fighting for love, you're both investing in love. This doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. And when you approach conflict this way, instead of pushing each other away, you pull each other closer. So the next time an argument arises, and it will, don't rush to resolve, rush to repair. Give space, give respect, and give your calm. And when you do that, the fight doesn't define the relationship. The repair does. If you want to know the one thing that's keeping you stuck in the loop, it's this: uncertainty, the ambiguity, the guessing, the wondering, that constant what if that keeps you up at night. It's exhausting, it's destabilizing, and worst of all, it's preventable. Let me be clear. When it comes to love, clarity is love. If you are living in a relationship where you're constantly guessing about where you stand, about whether they care, about whether they'll show up, you're not in a relationship. You're in a game, and you don't have to play games anymore. This is your invitation to say, enough. When you're dealing with an avoidant, the silence, the withdrawal, the mixed signals, it all creates a fog. They pull away. And instead of saying, hey, I need some space, they disappear. You're left wondering, did I do something wrong? Did they lose interest? Did they not care in the first place? That guessing game is what keeps you in the loop. But here's the most important thing you need to know. You are not responsible for their ambiguity. You are only responsible for your own clarity. So let's end the guessing right now. The next time you feel like you're caught in that space between do they care and should I wait, you need to give yourself the clarity you're craving. What do I mean by that? It's simple. You set the tone. You set the terms. You decide to stop living in the maybe, the what if, the someday. Instead of waiting around for them to give you a breadcrumb, you're going to start feeding yourself the full meal of clarity. Here's how. First, you need to state what you need. No more dancing around it. No more hoping they'll figure it out. It's time to speak up. And not just for them, for yourself. What does that look like? It could be as simple as saying, I need emotional consistency from this relationship. If that's something you're not ready to give, that's okay. But I need to know so I can make a decision for myself. Boom, there's your clarity. You're not making an ultimatum. You're not trying to control them. You're simply saying, this is what I need, and I'm not willing to settle for less. But I'll tell you something. When you speak from that place of clarity, something happens. You stop feeling like you're chasing something that's never going to come. You stop trying to fill in the gaps of their silence with your own assumptions. You stop waiting for them to change and start focusing on what you're willing to tolerate and what you're willing to walk away from. And that's when the power dynamic shifts. Because clarity in a relationship is magnetic. When you show up clear about your needs, you show up with confidence. And that's something the avoidant can't ignore. They will either rise to meet you or they'll start to retreat. Either way, you're no longer at the mercy of their mixed signals. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you feel the confusion start to creep in, pause and ask yourself, what do I need right now? What am I settling for that I don't deserve? Am I living in the maybe and letting it drain my energy? The moment you answer those questions, speak it out. Speak it out loud. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to soften the message. You just need to say what's true for you. And if they can't meet you where you're at, then that's their choice. But you can walk away with your head held high, knowing you've chosen clarity over confusion. Because clarity is love. Clarity says, I value myself enough to be real about what I need. And here's the truth. You deserve a relationship where you don't have to guess. You deserve clarity. And the moment you claim it, you create the space for true intimacy to grow. So stop waiting for them to hand you that clarity. Be the one who provides it. Here's the thing about the past. It's already done. The arguments, the silences, the push and pull, it's all written. But here's what you need to understand. The future hasn't been written yet. And when you're stuck in the loop, you're living in the past. You're replaying old hurts, old fears, old patterns. But to truly move forward, to truly heal and connect, you need to stop focusing on what happened and start focusing on what could happen. You've already set your boundaries. You've already started to take responsibility for your triggers. You've already begun the repair process. And now it's time to shift the focus to where it needs to go toward growth. Here's the question. What kind of future do you want to build together? What kind of relationship do you want to create, not based on past wounds, but on shared growth? I'll tell you this right now. The key to breaking the loop, the key to real connection, is the willingness to build something new together. That's what's going to set you free. Not the chase, not the silence, not even the apology, but the shared commitment to something better, to something stronger. Future framing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about creating what's possible. It's about sitting down and saying, this is what I want from us. This is the kind of relationship I want to have. And this is how I can show up to make that happen. Now, here's the key. You can't build a healthy future if you're still holding on to the past. That means you need to let go of the resentment. You need to let go of the blame. And you need to let go of the idea that everything that's happened until now has to define what happens next. The truth is, the future is built on how both of you show up today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. It's about the decisions you make now, the choices you make in this moment that will define where you both go from here. So what does that look like in practice? It looks like having the hard conversations, the ones that ask, what does a healthy future look like for you? What does that look like for me? And how can we make sure we're both showing up to create that? It's about deciding that your relationship won't be defined by what's wrong. It will be defined by what's possible. It's about taking the lessons from your past, acknowledging them, and using them as the foundation to create something new. But it doesn't happen if you're still stuck in blame. It doesn't happen if you're still stuck in fear. It only happens when you start believing that the future you want is possible. And let's be clear, this isn't just on them. This isn't just on you. This is a joint effort. You both have to decide that the future is more important than the past. You both have to decide to stop running from what's uncomfortable and lean into the possibility of something better. So what do you do now? You create a vision of the future you want. You define it. And you do it together. When you do that, you stop reacting to the cycle. You stop looking at your past fights, your past struggles, your past mistakes as evidence of how things will always be. You start to look at those things as stepping stones. You use them to build something new. You know what the real power is in all of this? It's not the fight. It's not the silence. It's the decision to build a future. And that decision starts with the question, how do we want to grow together right now? Because when you focus on growth, when you focus on what's next, you shift the energy from the past to the future. And that's when real change happens. That's when real connection happens. You are not stuck. You are not defined by your past mistakes. You are not defined by the fight, the silence, the misunderstanding. You are defined by the future you choose to create together. I want you to hear me when I say this. You are not trapped. You are not stuck in a never-ending cycle. The loop you've been caught in, it's not your destiny. The power to break free, to step into a new chapter of your life, is in your hands right now. You've been given the tools to create the life, the love, and the connection you've been craving. But here's the catch. You have to choose it. I know it's hard. I know it's easier to stay where you are, to keep doing what you've always done, even if it's painful. But that's not growth. That's not healing. That's just staying stuck, pretending that things will change on their own. But here's the truth. Change doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you make the decision to step out of the cycle, to break the loop, and to take action toward a healthier, more fulfilling future. Now, I know there's a part of you that's afraid that the silence means the end, afraid that you'll never feel loved the way you want to, afraid that you're asking for too much. But let me tell you something right now. You are asking for the right thing, You are asking for connection. You are asking for peace. You are asking for a relationship that allows you to be fully yourself, and that is the healthiest thing you can ask for. The next chapter of your life doesn't have to be defined by fear or by uncertainty. It doesn't have to be filled with drama, emotional roller coasters, or constant second guessing. It can be filled with peace. It can be filled with authentic love, the kind of love that is rooted in clarity, respect, and mutual growth. And that's what you deserve. That's the kind of relationship you are capable of creating. But to do that, you need to trust yourself. You need to believe in your ability to break the cycle and rewrite your story. Remember this, the silence you've been experiencing, it's not the end. It's the beginning. The moment you stop chasing, stop reacting, and start building from a place of self-respect and clarity, you'll find that everything shifts. You will feel a peace you've never known before. You will feel your own strength, your own worth, and you'll see that the right kind of love is built on those things. So let me leave you with this. You are not defined by your past. You are not defined by the cycle you've been caught in. You are defined by the choices you make right now. You are the author of your own story. And the next chapter, it's up to you. It's time to break the loop. It's time to step into your freedom. It's time to stop waiting for change and start becoming it.